Good evening and welcome to the National Sim Racing Gen 4 Cup Series Dickies 500 here at 2009 Texas Motor Speedway. I'm your host Garrett Hess, and we are just wrapping up practice right now in a surprising fast lap by Dylan Lansdell in car 24 to be on the top of the timing boards here at Texas in practice. But practice is just practice, and we're moving on to qualifying just right now. Hope y'all are doing well tonight, because we have a very interesting race here at the old Texas Motor Speedway before the revamp in the Gen 4 cars. And you know what? Dylan Lansdell, fastest in practice, and he has a good-looking 24 car to take on the Texas Motor Speedway. Reports were coming in from the drivers that, especially Tony Kurgel, he was very vocal about how this track was not kind to the setups that they were making for the race. They were reporting that about 20 laps in, tires were already dropping to about 1/5 of, or dropping about a fifth of their grip level, and going down to about 80% wear on the tires after only 20 laps. But looking at Tony Kurgel right now, defending champion of the National Sim Racing Gen 4 Cup Series, going to try to lay down a fast lap here on lap number 1, wrapping the bottom here. We'll see if he tries to make lap 2 his fast lap, or is he going to wrap the bottom again in 3 and 4. It looks like he's going to try to go on the bottom through 3 and 4 on lap 1. Coming to lap number 2, James Young is a 29.251. Let's see what Tony Kurgel sets. Coming across the stripe, a 29.355. Let's see if he can improve on it in his flying lap, lap number 2 here at Texas. Going into turn 3, running a little bit higher up so he can cut down on exit just a little bit. Trying to use that rubbered-in track to his advantage, storming across the line. It's a 29.261 for Tony Kurgel. Not good enough to take pole from Dylan Lansdell thus far. Another fast driver all season has been Justin Cope. He just crossed the line with a 29.499. That's going to set him up for a 4th place spot, at least provisionally. Mark Sikoshi, who's had a pretty good season thus far, ran really well at the opener at Talladega and did very well at IRP. Looking to continue the good momentum and coming to conclude his flying lap right now. See what time he sets, a 29.151. That's pole for car number 8, Mark Sikoshi, just barely beating out Dylan Lansdell by 5/1,000ths of a second. So good lap by Mark Sikoshi to get to the top of the timing board. Someone else who's been pretty impressive this season so far has been the 88 of John Bittler. He's been very impressive in his showings so far. But currently looking at the 3 of Brian Wiggins, who coming to close out his flying lap just blew the engine on the 3 car. So he's not going to complete his first lap. And he's going to roll across the start-finish line. Not the way that he would hope to finish his qualifying run. Ray Partridge finishes off his run with a 29.187. Good enough for 4th place on the board right now. It looks like 1st through 4th are only separated by about 0.03 of a second. Goes to show you just how close the pole times here are. First start for Johnny Taylor in car number 48. Getting his first lap in here at Texas under qualifying. Lots to show off for Johnny Taylor. First race to set a good impression on the National Sim Racing field. Let's see what time he will set for his first lap. Across the stripe, it's going to be a 29.378. Still got one more lap to improve upon it, keeping it nice, tidy, and low. Currently 9th on the timing board right now. Strong attitude, but oh, he scrapes the outside wall, and that's going to invalidate his lap time. And that is going to be the end of the line for Johnny Taylor in qualifying. He's going to have to start from 9th, I believe. Now we go to warm-ups here at Texas. Drivers getting the last little itty-bitty tuning settings set perfect for the race, because once they get into the race session, so in about 4.5 minutes, they won't be able to make any setup changes once they get in the car. So any last-minute handling adjustments need to be made, because from here on out, it's only going to be pit stop adjustments to be made to change how this car handles. But while we're under warm-ups right now, let's give a shout-out to our sponsor, IRD Racing out of Florida. If you have ever been doing any sort of real-world racing, you've probably heard of IRD Racing. They're known as the king of carburetors, and they are industry leaders in fuel injection technology, especially in the world of carburetors. And they do work on everything from circle track racing to drag racing to even amateur road racing. So if you want to elevate your real-world racing program to the next level, especially in the area of fuel injection technology, visit IRD Racing and give them a call. Great group of people over there, and there's a reason why people call them the king of carburetors. Very happy to have them on board with the National Sim Racing Gen 4 Cup Series and Fireball Talks NASCAR, allowing me to broadcast this amazing series to you all. And on camera right now is John Bittler, who's been having a great start to his season. A 4th place finish at Talladega, where he led, I believe, the most laps out of anyone in that race. And then a strong early performance at IRP, and then misfortune came his way at IRP, but looking to rebound from that. He's going to be one of the drivers to watch here this season. Had a pretty slow start to his initial season last season, but he's improved tenfold, especially in terms of pace after joining Mark Sakoshi Inc. and that team, to really bring his iRacing program to the next level. And he has some serious speed. I believe he was 5th in practice. So while I'm not saying it's necessarily reflective of race speeds, I think that he might be a driver to be on the lookout for a surprise top 5 finish. Currently looking at Justin Ray. First race for him since, I believe, Bristol last season, and that race did not go his way at all for car number 9. Currently 9th on the warm-up charts right now, but he could just be trying to get a feel for this car. He's got Ray Partridge right behind him, who won the opener at Talladega in pretty dramatic fashion. Ray Partridge, one of the faster drivers in this field, looking to follow up on his Talladega win, but we will have to see at the conclusion of this race how well he can back that up. Less than a minute left in warm-ups here, and then once warm-ups are over, we can go to your starting lineup. We have a pretty decently sized field here for National Sim Racing Gen 4 Cup Series. Looks like we're having about 15 to 16 cars here. So very exciting to have a car count trending towards 20. Because the normal field size is hovering around 12, and that's allowed for some great green flag racing and long runs. But sometimes that 16 to 20 car window can be the sweet spot for racing action and green flag racing. Johnny Taylor on the top of the timing boards right now in warm-up, so he might have some race pace that this field has not seen just yet. Warm-ups just concluding right now. In about 5 seconds, we will be getting to your starting lineup for the Dickies 500 in the National Sim Racing Gen 4 Cup Series. Starting on pole, it's going to be Mark Sikoshi. He was unsure about his qualifying setup and his setup for the race, but it seems like his gamble has paid off in spades as he's going to qualify on pole in car number 8. On his outside, fastest in practice was car 24, Dylan Lansdell, looking to make a statement on the outside pole here, rounding out your front row for the Dickies 500. Starting in third is going to be Adam DeFore in car number 5, last season's Phoenix winner, and it's going to be Ray Partridge, the season opener at Talladega winner, in car 29 in 4th. Rounding out row number 2. Rounding out your top 5 is going to be James Young, looking to finally get a good finish in National Sim Racing. He's been plagued with bad luck, and he needs that run to come to an end. Starting in 5th, it's a good start for him, but he's got Brian Wiggins on his outside, and Wiggins hungry to carve his way through the field like he did at multiple races last season and at IRP this season as well. Tony Kurgel, defending series champion, starting outside the top 5 in 7th. Car number 13, he was unsure about his setups and qualifies in 7th. Going to be interesting to see how that 13 car performs. John Bittler, car 88, starts in 8th outside of Kurgel, looking for another solid run for that 88 car. Johnny Taylor in his first start qualifies 9th, and Justin Cope, be on the lookout for car number 59 as he starts, rounding out your top 10. First car outside the top 10 is going to be Andy Reeves, and then Colt Ansley in his first start in car number 86. Elijah Grant and Colton English, 13th and 14th. Chris Norris and Jonathan Flournoy, 15th and 16th, and then rounding out your field, cars 27 and 9, 17th and 18th, Dawson Kent and Justin Ray. Mark Sikoshi going to be leading this field to the green flag for 167 laps around Texas Motor Speedway in these Gen 4 Cup cars. Pace car is off, and we're waiting for the flag man to throw the green flag. Green flag is out for the Dickies 500, and a great start by Dylan Lansdell. He flies in front of Mark Sikoshi. Hopefully he doesn't get a black flag for that, but I don't think that he passed Sikoshi before the green flag came out. So an absolute rocket of a start for car 24. He easily overtakes Sikoshi and already pulling out to about a 0.2 of a second lead over car number 8. Battling already for 5th place as Brian Wiggins working the outside on Tony Kurgel. Wiggins in car number 3 gets the move made on Kurgel on the bottom, so he's going to take 5th place away from Kurgel. Let's try to get a wider shot here so we can see more of the field. There we go. Now Wiggins looking to the inside of James Young, going to get that move made out of turn 2, rumbling down the backstretch. And now Kurgel looking past Young as well. Can he get the move made on the inside of the 31? Looks like he's going to be clear, and James Young now has the newcomer Johnny Taylor to worry about in car number 48. Young going to slide back even more So starting in 5th, already dropped back to 7th. You see Andy Reeves in car 18 under fire from John Bittler in car 88. Cars look like they're getting pretty loose on exit here. We see a lot of weaving down the back straight. But Reeves looking to finish a race. He's been plagued with all sorts of bad luck. And he's got a very safe driver in John Bittler right behind him. But Bittler's going to be hungry to make a move sometime. Battle for 5th between Johnny Taylor and Tony Kurgel. The champion versus the rookie for 5th place. Taylor all over the back end of car number 13 as the sun starts to come out on the Texas Motor Speedway, making that track surface a lot hotter, and it's going to be pretty slick, I presume, with this worn out surface getting all heated up. Dylan Lansdell has already pulled out to about a second gap over Mark Sikoshi. He holds the 2 fastest laps of the race right now, a 29.320 and a 29.384. It's safe to say that at least in the current very early stages of this race, that 24 car looks like to be a rocket ship here at Texas, but only time will tell. We still have over 160 laps of racing here to see how that 24 car will fare. Taylor trying to get a run off of turn 2 to get around Kurgel, but Kurgel doing a good job of defending that 5th place for right now. This is the closest battle on track, with the field being pretty spread out. And Taylor trying to get a run on that 13 car, but one of Kurgel's best strengths is just how consistent he is in holding his line. Further in the back, we have a battle for 11th. Colton English and Colt Ansley going at it. Ansley, I believe, making his first pass of his National Sim Racing Gen 4 Cup Series career on Colton English. Now Colton English about to go under attack from Elijah Grant in car number 4. While we're looking at that battle, Johnny Taylor finally gets around Tony Kurgel. So Johnny Taylor in his first race already getting into the top 5 here. So a very impressive start for car number 48. But it makes me wonder how long we'll be able to keep that pace up. John Bittler's gone around Andy Reeves, but Reeves looking to the outside of Bittler out of 4, not able to manifest the run to get to the outside of car number 88. And he's going to have to regather his car and try again another time. As well, we see Elijah Grant hit the outside wall out of 2, tracked out a little bit too much. I don't see a lot of damage on that 4 car. He might have gone away with a little bit of luck, as we see Ray Partridge making a move on Colton English in the back here. Andy Reeves still hungry to find a way around John Bittler in car 88. Bittler running that higher lane. Reeves is going to peek to the inside out of 2 side by side down the back straight for 9th place here between Andy Reeves and John Bittler. Colt Ansley looking hungry for a move. He's going to try to follow Reeves through to the inside of Bittler. So now Bittler having to deal not with Andy Reeves, but now with Colt Ansley on his inside. Bittler going to squeeze Ansley down just a little bit through the quad oval. We're going to run higher up in the corner. Ansley's going to sneak on by. Does Bittler try to cross him over down the back straightaway? Looks like he doesn't have the run to do so. And now Dawson Kent really loose on exit. Going to try to pull up alongside Bittler, but he just does not have the run to do so right now. Bittler running a really high lane here, and that's allowing everyone on his inside to just move on past him. So Bittler still trying to get his feet under him here at Texas. It's not the easiest track in the world to go fast at, despite its simple looks. Back up at the front, Mark Sikoshi has sliced the gap between him and Dylan Lansdell about in half. Let's see the times this time as they come across the start-finish line. A 30.6 or 30.7, I apologize, for Dylan Lansdale and a 30.55 for Mark Sikoshi. So Mark Sikoshi ever so slowly eating into that gap that Dylan Lansdale has. We saw Adam DeFore get pretty squirrely down the back straightaway here. But it looks like he's able to keep that car straight. And man, Mark Sikoshi's really eating into that time between him and Lansdale. Now down to 3.5 tenths between cars 24 and 8 here. Let's go further back through the field to defending series champion Tony Kurgel back in 6th. Right in front of him is Johnny Taylor putting the pressure on Brian Wiggins. Wiggins sliding high. Taylor having a lower exit. He's going to have a better exit out of the corner, but he has to let up because they got the really slow car of Adam DeFore. I don't know what happened to the 5 car, but it looks like he slowed down quite a lot, and that's going to allow both Wiggins and Taylor to get around him. Now, does Taylor try to move into the inside of the 3? Oh, he's going to make contact with Brian Wiggins. Oh, what a save by Brian Wiggins, and outstanding discipline by Taylor to not drive into Wiggins again. Great piece of driving from both drivers to not bring out a caution, but that's going to give Mark Sikoshi some much-needed breathing room. I don't think Wiggins is going to be too happy with it, but at the same time, you can't really complain when it could have been a lot worse. But we look at Mark Sikoshi trying to run down Dylan Lansdale. Did not have a great corner in 3 and 4. Lost about a tenth to that 24 car. And James Young getting past 4-6. Johnny Taylor going to work his way back through the field to regain that lost time. Gets around Adam DeFore without much issue. And now Tony Kurgel getting close to the back bumper of Brian Wiggins. Those tires on the 3 car have to be pretty heated up with how far he slid, and the slip angle he was dead sideways. So those things are probably scorching hot. I would not be surprised if that 3 car does not have a lot of rear grip after that. But Johnny Taylor already pulling up to the back bumper of Tony Kurgel. I tell you what, out of the top 5, he's the only car to be setting times in the 30-second bracket. Everyone setting 31-second lap times. So Johnny Taylor might be a force to be reckoned with here, as Kurgel now looks to the inside of Wiggins out of turn number 2. Gonna peek to the inside, but caution is out before he can get the move made. Let's see what happened. It looks like it's Justin Cope, car number 59. And let's get a replay going to see what happened to that number 59 Ford, who had such a great race at Lucas Oil last weekend. So looking at Justin Cope right now, just by himself, and yeah, he just loses it through the center. Might have gone the gas just a smidge too early, and the rear end was not too happy with them. Big slide from Dawson Kent up top out of the corner, but Justin Cope locks it down, and it looks like he didn't even lose a lap. So a harmless self-spin for Justin Cope. Good job on him for not getting any damage. But that will bring out the first caution of tonight's event here at Texas. Everyone jumping into pit lane here. And it's going to be Dylan Lansdale leading the field into pit lane. Let's see who comes out first. Oh, Sikoshi did not have a very fast entry. And oh, Lansdale overshot his entry. So he's most likely not going to win the race off of pit road. It's like a 4-tire stop for everyone here. Sikoshi going to get out on in front of Lansdell. That's Wiggins coming out in front of Kurgel. So Dylan Lansdell goes from 1st to 5th by overshooting his pit stop. So he's going to have some work to make up. Good pit stop by Colt Ansley in car number 86. He's up to 6th after that pit stop. Something happened with the 48 of Johnny Taylor, where he had a very long pit stop, a 32-second long pit stop for car number 48. So he's going to drop all the way back to 14th after a very promising start to his race. Pace car lights are off. That means we will be going green this time by. So coming to lap 23, we'll have our first restart of the day, and it's going to be Mark Sikoshi, who was seemingly threatening Dylan Lansdell for the lead, bringing the field to the first restart. And now Brian Wiggins is a lot closer and in sight of the leader now. My question is, we saw how fast that 24 car was firing off on the starts. Definitely have to see how it's going to fire off without clean air in front of him. He's got 5 cars in front of him or 4 cars, I apologize, in front of him to work around. So definitely going to be a challenge for car 24 to reclaim the lead and at the very least hold it with how fast that car seemed to fall off. A pace car is in, and Mark Sikoshi going to lead the field back to the green flag. Green flag is out here at Texas once again. Sikoshi with a good start over Wiggins. Wiggins with a good start over Kurgel. Adam DeFore was caught sleeping, and he's going to fall victim to Dylan Lansdell in turns 1 and 2 right here. Lansdell going to get by him like he wasn't even there. And now the field pretty singled out right now thanks to the single file restarts that National Sim Racing has. And Mark Sikoshi up at the front, starting to pull away from Brian Wiggins down the quad oval here. Tony Kurgel in 3rd, looking to show up at the end of this race victorious. Still got a lot of work to be done and over 140 laps to get there, but can't complain with a 3rd place run at all right now. Let's go further back through the field. Oh, something happened with Elijah Grant and John Bittler. Maybe he got a little bit loose and John Bittler really had to check up, but both of them are going to be losing a lot of spots. You see Chris Norris and Colton English checking up for them. But yeah, they both lost about 4 or 5 spots, dropping from 10th to about 15th and 16th respectively. See Johnny Taylor in car 48 trying to reclaim that speed that he had earlier. Dawson Kent and Justin Ray going at it for the 11th spot. Kent on the inside in that Days of Thunder number 27. And Ray in the Gem Beam number 9. Maybe a little bit of contact was made. Ray shot up the track a little bit. But Kent going to be able to clear the 9 car and secure 11th place for himself. Further up through the field, looking at Colt Ansley, restarted 6th and having a pretty solid run right now. He's got Adam DeFore in front of him, but a pretty comfortable distance away. And he's got James Young about 4/10 behind him. So Colt Ansley pretty comfortable right now in 6th and putting on an impressive showing in his debut here. Mark Sikoshi in the lead has pulled his lead to about 0.6 of a second over Brian Wiggins. and it seems to only be growing each lap. Granted, they ran almost identical lap times last time by. We saw how Sakoshi was pretty fast through the middle of the run here. So I would not be surprised if he starts pulling away soon once this run gets a little bit longer. For 10th, Dawson Kent continues his charge through the field and scrapes the wall a little bit as he gets around Jonathan Flournoy, the O2 car. And now Flournoy is going to have company with Justin Ray right behind him. But it looks like Flournoy going to be holding that 11th spot for the time being until Ray can get around him. Tony Kurgel kind of in a fast car sandwich right here. He's got Brian Wiggins in front of him and Dylan Lansdell right behind him. I would have thought that Lansdell would be in third by now, judging by how fast he was in the opening stint. But he's kind of been stuck behind Kurgel. Maybe he's trying to save his equipment a little bit. But he's definitely toned things back a little bit from that first lap where we saw him rocket out to the lead. And it also just might be a thing where he's very fast in clean air as well. We saw Brian Wiggins get really loose on exit. He's going to lose some time to Tony Kurgel. So Wiggins might be battling a loose race car here. And Kurgel is probably going to take any opportunity that he can to pounce on that. But last time by, Wiggins was about a half a tenth faster than Sakoshi. So maybe Sakoshi not pulling away as I thought that he would have, judging by the first stint here. And yeah, Kurgel getting a lot of ground on that 3 car. I would not be surprised if he leverages a run around the outside of Wiggins sometime soon. Because that 13 car is looking mighty fast, and I would not be surprised if he gets around the 3, if he starts hawking down the leader. For 8th place, we have a battle between Andy Reeves and Ray Partridge going on right now. Partridge way sideways out of the corner, clips the grass a little bit. He loses about a second to Andy Reeves, but he keeps the car straight and in one piece. That's what matters. But he was really close to making a move on that number 18 car. But unfortunately, just overdrove the exit a little bit, and that car slid sideways on him. Mark Sakoshi and Brian Wiggins running pretty much equal times here, and Tony Kurgel just stuck about 2/10 behind Wiggins. Further in the back, James Young starting to apply pressure to the back end of Colt Ansley in car number 86. James Young is an experienced driver here in National Sim Racing. He's just never had the results to go his way. But showing the new faces here that the old guys can put pressure on you and lay it on you pretty thick, as he's filling up the rear view mirror of car number 86 with that striking orange and blue singular car. But James Young having a very solid run for his standards. 7th place in a 18 car field, can't complain with that. But caution just came out. Gonna have to see who's it for. Oh, it looks like it's for Justin Ray, and the rear end on that car is completely gone. Let's go to the replay real quick to see what happened to car number 9. So looking at Justin Ray coming down the back straight, battling with Chris Norris, car 56. And I don't know what happened between him and Chris. Apologize for rewinding, but it kind of looks. Did he get loose down the front straight? Let's get a roll bar shot with him to see what exactly happened. It looks like that car just went away from under him, and he just flew across the nose of Chris Norris and hard into the turn 3 safety barrier. I completely knocked the rear end off of the 9 car, and that's going to be some pretty lengthy repair work to be done on car number 9 if he wants that car to be back in a raceable condition. But someone who's come down pit lane, it's Adam DeFore in car number 5, looking to make some adjustments, and a good chunk of the field has come down as well. Adam DeFore, Ray Partridge, Chris Norris, Johnny Taylor, Elijah Grant, and Justin Ray all coming into pit lane here. And looks like for pit stop adjustments and fuel, it seems, because, I mean, they're only on 18 lap tires. But the lead group of cars all electing to not pit and save their sets of tires for a later time in this race. No point in going through your tire sets when you've only been on them for about 20 laps. Your top 5 at the moment, it's Mark Sikoshi, Brian Wiggins, Tony Kurgel, Dylan Lansdell, and Colt Ansley. Colt Ansley up into the top 5 in his first race. And outside of the top 5, it's James Young, Andy Reeves, Dawson Kent, Jonathan Flournoy, and John Bittler. Bittler being able to find his way back into the top 10. And hopefully it will be nothing but up from him from here on out. But pace car lights are off. Going to be going green flag racing on lap number 41. And it's going to be Mark Sikoshi and Brian Wiggins leading the field to the green flag once again. Tony Kurgel looking for the perfect opportunity to take second place from Wiggins. Something that he wasn't able to do the last green flag run. Dylan Lansdell looking to close the gap on the top 3 and try to find the speed that he had at the first run, at the first green flag run, where he shot out to the lead. But maybe this is a game of clean air for Sikoshi. The pace car going to pull into pit lane at any time, and it makes the hard left turn into pit lane. Pace car is off. It's going to be Mark Sikoshi leading the field to the second restart of the Dickies 500 here at Texas. A good start from Sikoshi as he pulls out to about a half-second gap over Wiggins. Wiggins with a really bad start. I don't know why he's getting swallowed up by the field. I believe he might have missed a shift in car number 3, but he's dropped all the way back from 3rd to 11th. So Tony Kurgel able to get around as, whoa, we see something happen with the 18 of Reeves. Keep it together. Oh, contact with the 27. Oh, cars are everywhere. We see Bittler around. He keeps it straight. Pandemonium on the restart here, as I'm surprised a caution was not called just for the sheer amount of chaos that was going on. But no one actually spun. It was a lot of cars getting really loose. So that's the case for the caution not being called out. But who's smelling rosier at the end of this than Tony Kurgel and Dylan Lansdell? Both of them gaining a position, and Mark Sikoshi also should be sitting pretty happy right now, considering that he's got a 1 second gap over second place and doesn't have to worry about that pesky 3 car right behind him. Johnny Taylor going to make a move on Flournoy for 8th place as Wiggins is going to try to work his way back through the field. He's about 5 seconds behind the leaders right now. Just goes to show how much a bad start can affect your race. And now he has to worry about the 48 of Taylor right behind him. Taylor going to move to the inside of Wiggins. That 3 car just does not look like it's handling well at all. Johnny Taylor going to get a 2-for-1 offer here, passing 2 cars in one corner, or rather one half of the track, I should say, as he got around the 18 down the back straightaway. But nice move by Taylor to get himself into the cusp of the top 5. Elijah Grant at the top of the shot got around Flournoy for 9th place. So Grant trying to find some forward momentum for himself. Justin Cope in car 59 brought out the first caution and looking to bounce back from it by finding a way around Elijah Grant. Now Wiggins going to pull to the inside of Reeves. Going to get around the 18 car. And now Grant going to try to follow Wiggins through, but he's not able to pull to the inside of Reeves just yet. So Reeves able to hold on to 8th place as Wiggins asserts himself into 7th. Johnny Taylor now working on the back end of James Young. Big loose moment for car number 31. That car slides to the inside. He has to take the whole back straight to get that car underneath him. And kudos to him, he does, but he loses a ton of time in the process of that. And I tell you what, Johnny Taylor is storming through the field right now. He's going to blow past Colt Ansley for 4th. Last time by a 30.175 for Johnny Taylor. This time, and last time by for Sikoshi, a 30.9 coming across the stripe. So it's safe to say that this 48 car is flying once again. And that gap that he built over Tony Kurgel on the start now starting to diminish between cars 8 and 13. The gap having shrunk to about 0.2 of a second. Taylor now moving to the inside of Dylan Lansdell. He's going to lever his way through on the bottom in turns 3 and 4. Going to get around Lansdell for the 3rd spot. And now he's on the hunt for the lead here, as he ran about 0.6 faster than both Tony Kurgel and Mark Sikoshi last time by. Oops, sorry about that. Tony Kurgel closing in on Sikoshi, but he's got the very fast car of Johnny Taylor closing in right behind him. Taylor coming in like a bat out of hell, and he's gonna try to make his own lane around Kurgel. Sikoshi gonna block Kurgel on the inside. A 3-way battle for the lead. Kurgel almost gets to Sikoshi 3 wide almost for the lead, and what a move by Johnny Taylor to get a 2-in-1 offer down the back straightaway to snatch the lead from both Mark Sikoshi and Tony Kurgel. Great move by that 48 car, and he's absolutely flying right now. Already pulling away from the 13 and 8 cars. 1.1 seconds faster last time by than Kurgel in 2nd. I'll tell you what, that 8 car is bad, or that 48 car, I apologize, is bad fast right now. He's the only car to be lapping in the 30-second bracket. Everyone else setting 31-second lap times, and he just set a 30.2, while Tony Kurgel, your defending champion, just set a 31.1. That 48 is on a different level here. James Young doing battle with Colt Ansley, car number 86, for the 5th place. Young, after his earlier slide, getting the car underneath him once again and starting to apply pressure to the back of the 86 car again. But the caution comes out once again. We're going to have to see who's it for. Oh, I believe it's for Justin Cope. He's slow on track again. So let's see what happened to car number 59. So looking at the 59 of Justin Cope. Out of turn 4, he's currently side by side with Chris Norris, and yeah, he just loses the rear end on the 59 car, and Norris almost swipes across his nose, and yeah, Cope has to lock it down. Almost rolls down into Flournoy, but luckily no contact made between the two cars. So another lucky break for car number 59. But man, that 48 car has been something else here. Gonna pull into pit lane. And we're going to have to see who the first car off pit road is. See a couple cars staying out to... Yeah, a couple cars staying out. You see Elijah... That was Elijah Grant and Chris Norris staying out. But everyone else coming into pit lane. Being led by the 48 of Johnny Taylor. See, Taylor comes out ahead. Then Kurgel, Sakoshi, Lansdell, Young, Wiggins, Kent, Ansley, DeFord, Bittler, Reeves, and then Flournoy. So it's going to be Johnny Taylor winning the race off of pit road. But they've got two cars on older tires in front of them, Chris Norris and Elijah Grant, starting first and second here to lead us back to the green flag, assuming that they don't go in pit lane once again. Base car lights are off, and Elijah Grant still has not come into pit lane. I apologize for saying that insinuating that it's been Johnny Taylor's first start. I mean that it's his first start this season. That's what I should clarify. And I tell you what, he's put on a heck of a show in his first start this season in car number 48. But it's going to be Elijah Grant leading this field to the green flag. And he's got Chris Norris right behind him. And I'm going to say it's not going to be a matter of if Johnny Taylor passes these two to take the lead again. It's going to be a matter of how quickly does that 48 car jump to the lead. Because if his speed during the last run was anything to go off of, there might not be anything to stop that 48 car. But pace car is in. Elijah Grant going to lead his first laps in National Sim Racing and take the green flag. Chris Norris scrapes the outside wall, and the caution's already out. We're going to have to see who's it for. Colt Ansley with a little bit of damage. Wiggins and Young collected. Another bad break for Wiggins. Oh, Lansdell without a front end. Let's get a replay to see what happened to the 3 car and any driver associated with this incident. So coming to green, and it looks like the field got stacked up, and Dylan Lansdale went to the back of Sakoshi. This creates a chain reaction where everyone else is slowing up, and you see Lansdale, Kent, Young, and Wiggins all get sent around because Ansley and others just aren't expecting the checkup on the start. They're expecting a pretty smooth transition to the throttle, and then it just creates a big chain reaction with multiple drivers getting damage here. But hopefully it is a quick repair for a lot of these drivers, and so it was at a pretty low speed, but this allows Elijah Grant to get more laps led under his belt. Same with Chris Norris, but he's going to be in second, so he doesn't get any credit for laps led. But very surprising to see an accident like that happen. That involved some pretty competitive drivers like Young, Lansdale, and Wiggins. So very surprising to see that happen. But your top 5 at the moment is bound to change once we get a green flag run longer than 2 laps. Elijah Grant, Chris Norris, Johnny Taylor, Tony Kurgel, and Mark Sakoshi, your top 5. Now the 5 cars outside of the top 5 currently: Adam DeFore, John Bittler, Andy Reeves, Jonathan Flournoy, and Colton English making up your top 10 out of 18 drivers here. But I believe this time the pace car is going to turn off its lights. Yep, and we will be going green flag racing on lap number 61. For I believe this is the 4th restart of tonight's event. The sun shining on the Texas Motor Speedway track surface. That's going to heat it up, and it's going to both eat up the tires more because it's adding more tire heat and make the track slicker. So drivers already having a whale of a time handling their cars, gonna have an even harder time with the track being just that much slicker. And with the seemingly limitless amounts of power that these Gen 4 cars create, that's going to translate to a lot of looseness on corner exit, I would think. So definitely going to be a challenge for these drivers to overcome. But it's going to be Elijah Grant once again leading the field to the green flag for another restart here at Texas. Green flag is out, and a decent start by Grant. Chris Norris was not a good start at all. Really bunches up the field. Johnny Taylor going to look to the inside of Norris, and Kurgel going to follow suit to the inside of that 56 car. I think Chris Norris on older tires just not getting the drive, or not really getting the launch when the green flag drops like cars on newer tires. But already Johnny Taylor within a lap going to get to the inside of Elijah Grant. Elijah Grant going to try to make this race for the lead interesting by powering by on the outside, pulling ahead just a little bit of Taylor, but Taylor's going to have a lot more grip on the bottom. And yeah, Elijah Grant goes towards the top, maybe gets a little bit in the marbles, but he's going to slot in between the 48 and 13 here. And I tell you what, he's keeping step with these drivers despite being on 16 lap older tires. Now he's starting to fall back into the clutches of Kurgel and the rest of the field. But I would have thought that it would have been like Chris Norris where he slides back right quick. But oh, he got a little bit loose, had to get out of it. Here comes Kurgel looking to the outside of car number 4. Sakoshi being harassed by Adam DeFore. So battles for second and fourth going on right now. Kurgel gets to the inside of Grant. Going to have a huge run out of the corner. Going to clear him across the stripe. Move Kurgel into the second position. And Sakoshi going to get around the 4 car as well. DeFore going to get around as well. So Elijah Grant already dropping back to 5th. John Bittler now hungry for a top 5 spot. But can Elijah Grant hold off that 88 car on, I believe, 16 lap older tires? But Sakoshi keeping step with that 13 of Tony Kurgel. Both cars about 0.3 of a second behind the 48 of Johnny Taylor, who has been so fast this race and seemingly pacing himself at the moment. But now under fire from Tony Kurgel. Kurgel keeping pace with him. So it might just be that Taylor has a car that's really well suited for the long runs compared to other drivers. Further in the back, Ray Partridge getting around Jonathan Flournoy. And now Partridge going to try to get around Justin Cope, who has not been having a great race at all as he barely scrapes the outside wall. This track not being too kind to the driver of car number 59. And Partridge going to get the move made around Cope without too much of a fuss. Andy Reeves and Elijah Grant doing battle for the 6th spot. Reeves going to poke to the inside of Grant. Grant going to give him more than enough room to work with. And Reeves is going to power by on the bottom. So staying out, not paying off for car number 4 as he's starting to get swallowed up by the field. But 7th place right now, not too bad for the 4th car, especially considering the size of this field. 18 drivers registered for this race. So 7th out of 18 cars, you're going above 500 since you're halfway above the field. So not too bad. Currently looking at Adam DeFore trying to hunt down the 8 of Mark Sakoshi. Has a pretty big gap to John Bittler in 5th. And DeFore with a good drive out of turn 2, really closing that gap to Sakoshi. You can see DeFore's running about a half a lane higher up through the center and entry of the corners and able to just cut down a little bit for that little bit of extra speed, allowing him to close up to the back end of car number 8. But not able to be fast enough to pull alongside that 8 car, especially not when that 5 car is dancing all over the back straightaway. That car all sorts of loose as he's trying to get the power down. Rear end on these cars, not too happy with the worn out tires. Ray Partridge battling with Colton English down the front straight here. Partridge diving into turn 1 on the inside, gonna make the move stick on Colton English. So move Ray Partridge up to 8th in car number 29. But Colton English looking to fight back, but not able to get alongside car number 29, and he runs pretty high through the center of the corner, allowing Partridge to slip away. Big loose moment from John Bittler. The moment we pan to that number 88 car, got really sideways through the exit of the quad oval, and that car, he really had to get out of the gas in that number 88 to prevent it from going fully around in a one-way meetup with the outside wall. Just saw Mark Sakoshi running really high in the corners. Maybe he's trying a different line to try and get some drive on corner exit. You can see his car running over the bumps up top, then cutting down on exit. Interesting strategy from car number 8 as, whoa! Elijah Grant got really sideways down the back straightaway. Partridge giving him more than enough room to compensate. But that was a scary moment for car number 4 as he hit the outside wall and almost got into Partridge. But good driving by both drivers to not create a collision and keep soldiering on another day here at Texas. Up at the front, Johnny Taylor has extended his lead to 1.5 seconds over Tony Kurgel. Last time by a 30.637 for Johnny Taylor and a 30.846 for Tony Kurgel. So Johnny Taylor starting to show his long run speed here. But for 10th, we have a three-way battle between Colton English, Jonathan Flournoy, and Colt Ansley. English runs really high, had to get out of the gas and gets passed by Flournoy and Ansley. So Ansley moving his way to right outside the top 10 here. Justin Cope getting around Elijah Grant, and Grant's really starting to struggle on those older tires. Starting to really fall back. Remember that he started in the lead here, and now he's fallen all the way back to 9th and almost caused an accident with Partridge due to how loose that car was getting. And so Elijah Grant not in a very amicable position right now. But looking at Adam DeFore starting to close in on the back end of Mark Sakoshi for 3rd, closing within 0.3 of a second. Car number 5 is, and I think Sakoshi has burned up his stuff a little bit, especially when he tried running those high lines to try and maybe find a secret speed line that people weren't trying out. But it just has not worked for that 8 car right now. Currently running 3rd, so it's not a bad run for him, but he's losing a lot of time to that 5 car, who if he didn't get loose right there, probably would have gone right to the back end of car number 8. Jonathan Flournoy and Elijah Grant doing battle for the 9th position here. Grant gonna go really high. That car is getting pretty tight through the center. He's gonna let Flournoy by, but now he has to deal with Colt Ansley once again. So Ansley gonna have to get around car number 4. You see Dylan Lansdell 2 laps down, right behind Ansley. So Lansdell's gonna need a lot of luck to go his way if he wants to get back on the lead lap and contend for the lead once again. But Grant gonna try to make a hard charge to the outside of Ansley. Gets really high into the marbles, almost into the wall. Keeps it off the wall, but he's gonna lose a lot of ground to Ansley in front of him, and all the cars around him are a lap down. Looking at Andy Reeves right outside of the top 5 right now. Looking at the back end of John Bittler to see if he can try and catch up to it and make a move on that 88 car. But both of them running very similar lap times here. John Bittler just slightly faster that time by. But Bittler, a 5th place run for him would be very well and continue the good momentum that he had at Talladega earlier this season. You can see top of the shot, Partridge getting a little bit loose. But back to our leader, Johnny Taylor. He has really let that number 48 car sing as it's gone to a 31.2, or sorry, not 31.2. I was looking at Tony Kurgel's last lap. It's gone to a 3-second lead over Tony Kurgel, and he's been gapping that 13 car by about 2 to 3 tenths every lap. The only car right now to be setting 30-second lap times with a 30.955. Kurgel right behind him, setting a 31.3. And then he's about 4.5 seconds ahead of Mark Sakoshi, who is setting 31.5. So the top two really have broken away from the rest of the field here. And Adam DeFore still has not gotten around that 8 car, despite Sakoshi running this pretty unconventional line around the top here at Texas. Andy Reeves sliding back a little bit. You can see John Bittler jumping into pit lane. So Ray Partridge got really loose in the quad oval, had to let Justin Cope by, and now Andy Reeves looking to the outside of Partridge. Reeves hanging on the quarter panel of Partridge out of turn 2, but he gets in the wall, loses a lot of ground to Partridge. Not going to be able to stay on his outside right here, but Justin Cope, the first car to jump into pit lane. So maybe he's trying a strategy that no one else is. Johnny Taylor having to deal with the lap car of Brian Wiggins. Got slowed down just a little bit, but either way, able to get around that 3 car without much fuss, as we have broken past halfway here in the Dickies 500. 82 laps to go as Johnny Taylor crosses the start-finish line to start lap number 86 out of 167. Currently looking at Colt Ansley, who's peeking to the inside of Andy Reeves. Ansley's going to make the move stick on Reeves. So Colt Ansley, car 86, going to the 8th position, and looks like Reeves starting to really fall off here. Those tires on car number 18 starting to really bite him in the butt here, as drivers who have managed their stuff better or have a setup more geared towards a longer run, doing a good job showing off why long run speed is so important, as Ansley just blew the doors off the 18 car and now hungry to continue this pace. But speaking of pace, Justin Cope has been doing a very good job of clawing his way back from misfortune. He's currently the second fastest car on track right now that hasn't pit. So John Bittler not in that conversation right now. But he's the second fastest car on track right behind Johnny Taylor. And he's trying his best to recover from the 2 earlier spins that have been him and brought out cautions throughout the race thus far. A good recovery drive from car 59, and if he can catch a caution his way, I would not be surprised if he can find a top 3 result. Or if this goes long and he has this long run speed, I would not be surprised if he finds himself in the top 3 with a very solid result to his name here. Back at the front, it's still the Johnny Taylor show, who is now up to a 4-second gap over Tony Kurgel. Just got news that Ray Partridge has jumped into pit lane, and same with Andy Reeves, but it looks like Andy Reeves got speeding on entry as he's being displayed with a black flag. So a tough break for car number 18, as he's going to have to serve a penalty for too fast entering pit lane, and he overshoots his box. Yeah, just not a good cycle of pit stops. Not a good cycle of pit stops for car number 18. Colt Ansley diving into pit lane as well. Him and Jonathan Flournoy going in as well. These top 5 cars still have not pitted yet on 37 lap old tires. Makes you wonder when they're going to jump in. But Johnny Taylor has has his setup dialed in for the long run. Tony Curgel just coming into pit lane, but last time by 31.7 for Johnny Taylor and a 32.1 for Tony Curgel. So this car is just bad fast all around. But Tony Curgel diving into pit lane. Same with Colton English as well. Colt Ansley doing battle with Jonathan Flournoy for the 11th spot. Ansley doing a good job of dialing back his entry, and you can see just how much exit speed it's gotten him compared to Flournoy, who really threw it into the corner there. But now the question is, when does the 48 come into pit lane? Because if he's not careful, he could definitely get undercut by Tony Curgel, and any extra lap that he stays out is going to be a couple seconds lost to the cars who pitted before him. Mark Sikoshi has come in as well, so the second of the cars in the top 5 this race to pull into pit lane. That's going to bring Justin Cope into the 3rd position right now, and as I'm saying this, there are only 4 cars on the lead lap. Granted, this is mostly due to pit cycles. So once the leader comes into pit lane and everything cycles out, we will have most likely about 12 cars on the lead lap, 10 to 12 cars on the lead lap. But the gap between the leader and second, now that a lot of the second place cars have pit, has grown so big that it's a 16-second gap between Johnny Taylor and Adam DeFore. But Mark Sikoshi pulling out of pit lane. He's going to blend back in with traffic, as Elijah Grant just gets around Chris Norris, and Mark Sikoshi pulling around James Young for the 6th spot. Adam DeFore finally jumps into pit lane. So the only 2 cars to have not pitted yet is James Young, Justin Cope, who just came into pit lane. So it's just Johnny Taylor and James Young staying out 1st and 7th, staying out on old tires. So when do we see this 48 car of Johnny Taylor go into pit lane? And oh, this is not going to be beneficial for him. He's going to have to pit when everyone else is on fresh tires, and that's going to be tough for car number 48. But let's see what brought out the caution here for this race, because that was a really long green flag run. But let's see what happened. We're getting reports that it might be the 3 of Brian Wiggins. Brian Wiggins bringing out the caution. So currently looking at car number 3. In turns 3 and 4, that car already getting loose. You can see, judging by the fire coming out of the side, it looks like he was slowing down for pit lane. And there's a lot of marbles down there. That's going to get your car loose. Gets really sideways, turns the wheel full lock to not hit the inside wall, and that overcorrects. He's going to slide through the pit commitment cone, so that's going to give him a black flag for an unsafe exit because he slid back on track, and it's going to bring out the caution here. And oh man, I'm sure that Johnny Taylor is not too happy with that, because he was going, he was running it really long, and now he has to pit and work his way through the field once again. So Tony Curgel gonna be smiling from ear to ear, but I actually think that Johnny Taylor is able to get his pit stop done under caution and come out ahead of Tony Kurgel. So this actually just didn't affect Johnny Taylor that much at all, besides the field tightening up around him, because almost everyone had to get the wave around to get their lap back, and Tony Kurgel was not able to get around the 48 fast enough under caution before the 48 exited pit lane. So Johnny Taylor going to get new tires and be in front of Tony Kurgel can't ask for a better situation than that as we cross lap 100 to lap 101 under caution. And your top 5 at the moment, it's Johnny Taylor, Tony Kurgel, John Bittler up to 3rd, Mark Sikoshi in 4th, Ray Partridge up to 5th. And then outside of the top 5, it is Jonathan Flournoy, Colt Ansley, Adam DeFord, Justin Cope, and James Young. First car 1 lap down is going to be James Young. And Johnny Taylor has a pretty big gap between him and Kurgel, as the rest of the field trying to frantically catch back up to the tail end of the lead lap. See John Bittler and Mark Sikoshi hustling to try and get to the green flag to catch up to the back end of Kurgel. Looks like Grant has done it. Norris has done it. I believe Bittler able to get there as well. Pace car is in a chaotic caution period, and it's going to be Johnny Taylor leading the field to the green flag here with 2 lap cars separating him and Tony Kurgel. And yeah, some cars were not able to make it. To the tail end of the field before the start-finish line, and Johnny Taylor going to enjoy a big lead right now. Flournoy gets around Colt Ansley for the 6th position. It's all sorts of chaos here, as Adam DeFore, who is very fast, is going to be looking to make the ground that he lost back up through the field. Mark Sikoshi working on John Bittler. 3 wide for 3rd here. Andy Reeves to the outside. Bittler stuck in the middle. Reeves scrapes the wall. Sikoshi gets the move made. So moves Mark Sikoshi into the 3rd spot, and John Bittler into 4th. Bittler had to stay out last time because he was on order, because he had already pit. So I would not be surprised at all if Johnny Taylor pulls ahead to a massive gap, considering that he has fresher tires than everyone in this field pretty much, and started up front. Already pulling out to about a 2-second gap over Kurgel, who's having to deal with the lap car of Dawson Kent on his inside. Kent is 3 laps down and just racing a race, and I'm sure Kurgel not too happy when he's trying to track down the leader. When he has to track down the leader and he has a lap car racing him on his inside where he'd prefer to be. Going further through the field, looking at Colt Ansley. He's got the lap car of Dylan Lansdell right behind him. Lansdell's been trapped 2 laps down for the longest time, just not able to get one of the laps back to put him in lucky dog contention. Lansdell gonna peek to the outside of Ansley, and he's gonna get the move made. And now DeFore gonna try the outside of Ansley. Ansley moves up to block the 5, but how long can Ansley hold on to the pressure that Adam DeFore is going to put on him? You can see that they're working on John Bittler right in front of him. Flournoy gets past Bittler. You can see Lansdell getting around the 88 as well. So Bittler really starting to fade as he's the driver on the oldest tires out of everyone here. And now Ansley catches up to that 88 car. Same with DeFore. So Bittler going backwards in a hurry right now. And now DeFore looking to the inside of Ansley. Not able to happen on entry, but through the center, he gets a tremendous run on the inside. Side by side, four stick DeFore really loose on exit. Ansley's going to pull ahead and almost clear DeFore through the front straight. But here comes DeFore on the inside in turn one, going to get the move made, and now he sets his sights on Jonathan Flournoy, car number 02, right in front of him, with 60 laps to go here at Texas. DeFore looking to the outside of Flournoy, and 3 and 4. Flournoy really sideways, going to lose a lot of time on exit to DeFore. DeFore going to sneak past him on the outside. So Adam DeFore going to P5 here, and he's got a very fast Kellogg's number 5, but he's still got about 2 seconds to make up on Ray Partridge if he wants to gain another position within that top 5. Moving back to our leader, it is clear sailing right now for Johnny Taylor in car number 48. I haven't seen one slide out of that 48 car yet. That has been a very well composed car. Dare I say it's been as fast as its real world counterpart during this era. This car has consistently been the car to beat no matter what. Didn't have that great of a qualifying effort. I mean, I believe he started 5th. And he has shown that qualifying efforts is not something that you should judge a whole race on, as John Bittler jumps into pit lane. So that tire issue for him are really starting to bite him. I think it's enough to where he has to come in for a new set of Goodyears on car 88. He's definitely going to go a lap down as Johnny Taylor just passes by him, and he's got to really hope that he doesn't go a lap down again. But now he's been moved out of Lucky Dog contention by James Young and Elijah Grant. But James Young currently running in 7th right now. So if the caution comes out, he would be the lucky dog as long as he doesn't get in an accident during that caution period. He will get the lucky dog and get back on the lead lap. Granted, he will be sent to the tail end of the longest line for being the lucky dog. But either way, it will put him back in contention to gain more positions. Adam DeFore has really caught up to Ray Partridge, made up about 2 seconds on that 29 car. Granted, Partridge has had to deal with Andy Reeves and Dylan Lansdell this run, and a very loose race car for car number 29. DeFore is going to pull to the inside of Partridge and pull past him down the back straightaway. So Adam DeFore moving his way into 4th, really sideways through the center of the corner, but keeps the car honest and starting to pull away from that very loose-looking number 29. Another car kind of just by himself right now is Mark Sakoshi in 3rd. He has about 4 seconds behind him to he's about 4 seconds behind him to Adam DeFore, and 6 seconds ahead of, 2 seconds ahead of him to Tony Kurgel. So kind of just running his own race right now, and when you're 3rd, you can't, that's not too bad of a thing to have, just a calm race. And I'm sure that everyone on the lead lap is hoping that this will go green to the end, because I'm sure with how tough these cars have been to handle around here, this has been a pretty grueling race if your name is not Johnny Taylor. But someone who's done very well for himself is Tony Kurgel, who currently running 2nd. He was worried about his setups for this race, and worried about how it would fare on the long runs. Granted, it's not on the same pace as Johnny Taylor, but a second place pace car, and he's currently outrunning Mark Sikoshi by about half a second right now. Not too bad of a position to be in, especially for a good points haul for car number 2. As he's got James Young right in front of him. But I don't know if anyone's going to be catching this number 48 car. I mean, he just set his first 31-second lap time of this run. And he has a 7-second gap over Tony Kergel. Just absolute domination from car number 48. Considering that he's had to go from back to front and done it by making it look easy here. And a lot of this field is really spread out right now. The closest cars for position right now is between Partridge and Ansley, between 5th and 6th. And Ansley now starting to close in on the back end of Partridge. I think Partridge is really starting to slow down a lot, having trouble with handling that number 29 car. Just seems like it is loose everywhere on exit compared to, I was just about to say compared to Ansley, but we just saw how loose Ansley was getting down the back straightaway. He's going to lose a little bit of time on entry here compared to that 29 car. So everyone getting loose. Ansley going to choose to dive into pit lane. So he's going to be one of the first in the lead lap cars to jump into pit lane. And he's certainly going to get lapped by Johnny Taylor. He's really going to hope that he doesn't get lapped again when he exits pit lane. But John Bittler working on the inside of Colton English for the 10th spot. So John Bittler moving himself back into the top 10. And he's got quite a lot of ground to make up to the next spot, which is Elijah Grant. He's going to pass Colt Ansley in pit lane, but he's got about 5 seconds to make up until he reaches the 4 of Elijah Grant. But this field really starting to string out now as the laps continue to tick on by. Only about 20 laps into this run, and everyone is more or less spread out by about a second or more. As I think I just heard a car sliding a lot on exit. That might have been Adam DeFore, who's going about 20 miles per hour slower than normal through the, yeah, that car's really loose. Oh, save it, car number 5. Whoa, that was a 4-wheel slide entering turn 3. I think that 5 car needs to come into pit lane ASAP to get a new set of tires on it, because yeah, that car is all sorts of sideways. But it looks like he's gonna try to tough it out, and hopefully this decision does not result in him bringing out a caution. This has allowed Ray Partridge to close the gap between him and DeFore just a little bit. It was longer than 2 seconds, but with that pair of slides from DeFore, it's brought itself down to just under 2 seconds. But Partridge currently running in 5th, a pretty calm day for him with a car that has not been very friendly. But speaking of people making up time, John Bittler has made up the time on Elijah Grant, moving into the 8th position. So he's now the second car 1 lap down. Bittler's going to really need James Young to come into pit lane sometime for tires, and then after that happened, a caution come out so that he can be the lucky dog, and James Young is not. And James Young's hoping that a caution comes out right about now. But it looks like that is not going to be the case, knock on wood. But Tony Kergel, car number 13, currently 9.5 seconds behind Johnny Taylor. Johnny Taylor is just walking these drivers right now. Last time by for Johnny Taylor was a 31.925. Let's see Kergel's last time, a 32.069, so only about a tenth faster, but we've seen lap discrepancies as high as half a second between the two. So yeah, that gap has now officially crossed 10 seconds between first and second place. Jonathan Flournoy dives into pit lane. So the question is, when does Johnny Taylor come into pit lane? Because he has not pit under green flag yet, as far as I am aware. And we have no idea if he can even make it to the end. He's currently on 29. His last pit stop was 29 laps ago on lap 100, and it's unknown what only to the drivers of this series, or it's really known only to the drivers of the series how long they can make it here. But Johnny Taylor putting on a clinic right now. And I mean, Tony Kergel's putting on a clinic of his own between him and the cars behind. To Kergel's credit, him and Johnny Taylor are the only cars lapping in the 31-second time bracket. Everyone else is hitting low to high 32-second lap times. And Kergel and Taylor are setting mid to high 31-second lap times. So even if Kergel is 10, 11 seconds behind Taylor, he's still putting on a clinic to the rest of this field. Ray Partridge finally jumps into pit lane, and there are only 4 cars on the lead lap as I speak this. And Adam DeFleur, currently the last car on the lead lap, getting a move made on him by Andy Reeves, who had to come into pit lane. Reeves is 5 laps down, currently running 15th, just hoping to finish this race. John Bittler up to 7th, still not the only car 1 lap down. The first car 1 lap down is still James Young, but that gap is quickly shrinking thanks to Cole Ansley. So Ansley making up a lot of time on James Young. And now battle for 9th between Colton English and Ray Partridge. But I think Partridge was just exiting pit lane, and English was so close to getting past him but not able to get it done. But Colt Ansley making up a lot of ground on that 31 car. Now he's on about 19 lap fresher tires than car number 31, but this is an important battle because if a caution comes out, this will decide who gets the lucky dog. But Mark Sikoshi finally jumps into pit lane, and John Bittler jumps into pit lane once again. Maybe this is so he can make it to the end on fuel. Bittler has been pitting a lot, and he's been hemorrhaging positions because of it. Tony Kergel in as well. So Kergel just coming out of pit lane, and he's going to have quite the gap on Mark Sikoshi. Oh, yeah, multiple seconds. I'd say probably about 10 to 15 seconds over Sikoshi. But now only 2 cars remain on the lead lap, and both of them have not come into pit lane yet. It's just Adam DeFore and Johnny Taylor on the lead lap, and the gap from first to second is coming to 25 seconds right now. So when do these drivers jump into pit lane? You can see Sakoshi starting his run on newer tires right behind that 48 car. You see just the difference between old and new tires. He's going to be able to sling into that corner so much more than the dominant 48 car, but still going to able to get it to work. Kurgel going to move to the inside of Colt Ansley to retake the 3rd spot. So currently the first car 1 lap down is Tony Kurgel, and Colt Ansley has gone around the 31 of James Young, who looks like he's just starting to enter pit lane. And ooh, that's a scary pit lane line to take, but he doesn't slide up on track, and that's what matters. That gave me a little bit of a scare. And Johnny Taylor in pit lane right now. Adam DeFore going to jump in as well. So Johnny Taylor just coming out of pit lane. He's going to be a few seconds ahead of Tony Kurgel. Tony Kurgel just getting out of turn number 4. And let's see the time between Johnny Taylor and Tony Kurgel. Taylor just getting back up to speed right now. The gap is about 6 seconds between Johnny Taylor and Tony Kurgel, and the difference in tires is about 4 laps between the two. So Johnny Taylor on fresher tires has about a 6-second gap to maintain over Tony Kurgel, who seemed to be a lot faster on the short runs, but I don't think it's enough to make up 6 seconds in 30 laps types of fast. I think Johnny Taylor just has to make sure that car is filled to the brim so he can ride it home here, assuming we don't get another caution. Now Elijah Grant making a move on Dawson Kent for 11th spot. Both these cars 2 laps down. Kent going to give Grant the spot without too much hassle. And oh man, that 3 car is hurting right now. He must have plowed the wall, because that's even more damage than I remember that 3 car having from the restart wreck. But that car is dangerously off pace, about 30 miles per hour slower through the corners than Sakoshi in 4th right now. So a promising day for Wiggins, gone to pieces in his hand. And I don't know how to feel about this. This is just dangerously slow. If I wanted to run laps, I would honestly just get the car repaired and then jump in and then do the laps. As Dylan Lansdale got really loose on corner exit, but it looks like he saved it and keeps that car straight. Johnny Taylor having to work through a gaggle of lapped cars, but coming out pretty strong on the other side of it. Going to lose some time to Kurgel, but he already has about 7 seconds on that 13 car. Now, something very interesting is that at the moment, Colt Ansley is running 3rd, and he's on 15 lap older tires than Mark Sakoshi. Last time by, it was a 31.723 for Colt Ansley and a 30.686 for Sakoshi. Gonna be interesting to see how the tires will intersect between cars 86 and 8 when Sakoshi invariably catches up to the back end of car 86, and whether Ansley will have the ability to hold on to a podium in his first start this season. See, Chris Norris scrapes the wall in 16th. He's 10 laps down right now. He's had to pit multiple times. But he scrapes the wall, keeps that car going. And a battle for 11th going on right now between Dylan Lansdell and Colton English. Lansdell, who started second, then got caught up in a restart wreck, lost a couple laps, going to get around Colton English without too much problems. And he's going to take 11th place for himself. James Young starting to put the pressure on John Bittler. Cars 31 and 88 doing battle for 7th place. Young having a lot more speed than Bittler last time by about half a second between cars 88 and 31. And oh my goodness. Bittler almost cleaned out Brian Wiggins. A little bit of contact was made. You saw Johnny Taylor having to avoid it. And Wiggins asked to pull that car in a pit lane sometime soon. I mean, finally pulls it into pit lane. I'm just hoping he gets that car fully repaired before he brings it out, if that car can even be fully repaired by the time this race is over with. Johnny Taylor had a little bit of a scare with Wiggins getting around him, but now he doesn't have to worry now that that 3 car is in pit lane. Mark Sikoshi has caught the back end of Colt Ansley for the 3rd spot. Ansley gonna try to defend 3rd, but Sikoshi has a tire advantage, and yeah, Sikoshi is just gonna blow the door off the 86 car. Gonna move past him while mired in traffic, but this is still a really good run for car number 86 in his first start. 4th place is nothing to sneeze at, especially at the biggest field that we've had thus far this season. So Brian Wiggins has cleared his meatball flag for damage repair, but that doesn't mean that the car is fully repaired by any means. It just means that it's repaired enough to go back out on track. And that 3 car is back out on track. I mean, it's up to the driver and the driver themselves to, if they want to go back out on track. But I think at this point it's diminishing returns. But currently looking at Johnny Taylor, who's about to put a lap on Colt Ansley. So everyone up to 3rd place is lapped right now, and he's about to put a lap on Mark Sikoshi in 3rd. So it has been an absolutely suffocating performance from Johnny Taylor and Tony Kurgel, even if Tony Kurgel is 9 seconds behind. They're still almost literally speaking miles ahead of Sikoshi, and Sikoshi is in danger of getting lapped before this race ends. You can see Brian Wiggins on the high side, way off the pace. And whoa, that's the first loose moment that we've seen from car 48 this race. Got a little bit sideways exiting 4 behind James Young. But now he's going to get around that 31 car and start working on Sikoshi. Johnny Taylor going to get around Sikoshi to put him a lap down. So everyone but Tony Kurgel has been lapped on essentially pure speed. That is a crazy performance, but the caution just comes out as Johnny Taylor gets around Sikoshi. So Sikoshi's more or less going to get his lap back with the Lucky Dog, but we don't know who's it for. So let's get some eyes on the standby mode to see what brought out this caution. Well, folks, you will be surprised. This is Tony Kurgel trying to get around the lapped car of Colton English. Kurgel's currently running second. Now, Kurgel gets loose exiting and slides up the track while Colton English comes down the track. I don't think that he was expecting Kurgel to be there, and that puts Tony Kurgel on his side down the back straightaway from second place. And remarkably, that 13 car, he's able to keep it rolling, and it didn't blow his engine despite him literally flipping over, and he actually kept second place. He's currently getting damage repaired on that number 13 car, but I mean, if there's a position that I would want to flip in with as minimal recourse as possible, I guess when everyone else is a lap down, flipping and not having your car explode on you is not ideal, but you know, it's not race ending, and that's the one thing that Tony Kurgel could be very thankful about, is that it's not a race-ending deal for him. So Mark Sikoshi comes down pit lane along with not with Colt Ansley. Mark Sikoshi comes down pit lane. That's a closed pit lane, I believe, and he's gonna get black flag for it. So Tony Kurgel, without a front end, is going to be restarting in second place behind Johnny Taylor. And this is definitely a sight to see. A car without a front end is restarting in second place with 11 laps to go. And who knows if he'll have as much speed as Ansley or Sikoshi. I'm sure that without the front end and without the front end, there's definitely gonna be some aerodynamic penalties, but I don't think he's gonna fall any further than further down the charts than fourth. But pace car is off, and Johnny Taylor fires off to a good start. Tony Kurgel actually keeping within about 0.2 of a second of Johnny Taylor, but you can see just how tight that car is getting through the center of the corner compared to Kurgel, or compared to Taylor, I apologize. But Ansley and Sikoshi have about a 3-second gap to make up to Kurgel. Bittler and Sikoshi make contact. Great avoidance by Ansley, and even better save by Bittler to not go fully around and bring up the caution. But Mark Sikoshi has to make up about 3 seconds to get to the back end of Tony Kurgel. I'm not saying it's impossible, especially considering that 13 car doesn't have a front end. But at the same time, there's not that much time left. See, this time by 31.126 for Tony Crozier. You can see a gaggle of cars forming up behind him as he's trying his best to keep that second position ahead of Mark Sikoshi. Crozier running the bottom lane, trying to get all of these lapped cars around him out of his way so he can run clean laps. Mark Sikoshi has cut the gap between him and Kurgel down to about less than a second, and that downforce that 8 car is getting is really helping him on the center of the corners and down the straights here. Kurgel looking a lot more like a modified than a Gen 4 Cup car. And yeah, Sikoshi's going to get around Kurgel due to Kurgel's damage, but the question is, can Colt Ansley get around? Because Ansley's on about 40 lap old tires compared to Kurgel. We saw Colton English with a big loose moment right behind the 13 car. But honestly, I don't know if that 86 car is going to be able to catch the 13, despite the 13 not having a front end on that Chevy Monte Carlo. But anyway, you scratch it, the gap between first and second with 5 laps to go is about 7 seconds. And Johnny Taylor is currently laying down absolute screamers of lap times right now. 29.891 for Johnny Taylor. And he is about half a second faster than the 8 of Mark Sikoshi. But Colt Ansley just jumped into pit lane, so the tires on that 86 car did not last, and it looks like his hopes for a top 3 are going to be dashed right here. He's actually going to lose a fair amount of positions by having to pit, because Adam DeFore and Ray Partridge are going to jump him in pit lane. But Tony Kurgel soldiering on. As long as another caution doesn't come out, he's pretty much guaranteed an interview spot in the podium. Because the car behind him, Adam DeFore, is the first car 1 lap down. There were only 3 cars on the lead lap, which is just a testament to how fast this 48 car has been going this entire race. Coming out of turn number 4, let's get a roll bar camera with Johnny Taylor, car number 48, as he takes the white flag here in the Dickies 500 at Texas, keeping it nice and low in turns 1 and 2. A little bit of counter steer on exit, but that wheel is kept very straight here. Very little wheel effort required with how well this car has been treating him. But coming out of turn 4, a dominant performance comes into a dominant win for Johnny Taylor, driver of car number 48, as he takes the win over Mark Sikoshi by 9.6 seconds. So Johnny Taylor, a very well-deserved win for car number 48. Tony Kurgel going to come home in third, the final car on the lead lap. So let's get your finishing results up on the board here as Johnny Taylor does his cooldown lap. In the Dickies 500, it's the Johnny Taylor show as he comes home with a dominant win in car number 48 in his first start this season. Mark Sikoshi comes home in second in car number 8. And Tony Kirchhoff, after flipping the car and not having a front end, comes home in third. Adam DeFore in fourth place in car number 5, with Ray Partridge rounding out your top 5. A strong run for car number 29, finishing in the top 5. Elijah Grant, a strong run for him as well in 6th. John Bittler finishes in the top 10, rewarded with a 7th place finish. Colt Ansley could have gotten a top 5, but he had a pit with less than 10 to go. Comes home in 8th. James Young in car number 31 finishes this race 2 laps down in the top 10. Not too shabby for car number 31. And Jonathan Flournoy rounds out your top 10 in the number 02 car. First car outside of the top 10 is going to be the outside pole sitter. Dylan Lansdale had an amazing first stint in that 24 car, but it just did not play out in his favor. Colton English comes home 12th, and then Dawson Kent in 13th. Andy Reeves 5 laps down in 14th, and then Chris Norris 11 laps down in 15th. 16th and last of the cars running, it's going to be Brian Wiggins in car number 3. It was very off the pace in the closing stages of this race, but he finished the race. And then 2 cars who did not finish the race, Justin Cope and Justin Ray, 17th and 18th respectively. Don't go anywhere, as we have post-race interviews in just 1 second. Please stand by. All right, welcome back to the Dickies 500 for the National Sim Racing Gen 4 Cup Series. We're just about to get post-race interviews underway here, and our winner in a dominating fashion by over 9 seconds to second place is going to be Johnny Taylor, taking home the victory. Let's get him into the booth to see what he has to say. Coming home first, it's Johnny Taylor in car number 48, making his first start of the season at Texas. And man, you put on a clinic. How you feeling after this?
Yeah, it was a pretty decent race overall. I had a lot of fun. Some good clean battles. All in all, it was a pretty decent day.
So, judging by your qualifying performance, because you qualified, I believe, 5th or so, were you expecting to have such a strong car on the long runs compared to everyone else? Because there were times where you were setting upwards of 0.8 of a second per lap faster than the car in second place, and you just seemed to be the car to beat on the long runs.
Honestly, I was pretty optimistic going into the race. I put a little bit of time into it today to just mess around with the balance and see what it takes to get these things to go fast. And I don't know. I went in a little optimistic, and it ended up to be pretty decent.
Yeah, I would say being optimistic paid off in spades. So I mean, once you got to the lead, was your strategy more to try and build up as big of a gap as possible, as fast as possible, or are you more on the side of conserving in case of a hypothetical worst case scenario that ended up not having to play out?
Early in the race, think I saved the first set of tires when they pit, took a set, so I was kind of just feeling it out, feeling the race out. Didn't know if it was going to be like a caution fest or whatnot, but all in all, it was a pretty clean race, good green flag racing. So overall, strategy played in our favor.
I'd say played in your favor as well. So before we let you go and celebrate your win just a little bit more, do you have any people or sponsors you want to thank before we let you go?
I like to thank Sikosi and everybody in the league, Racing Clean, and you for putting up the broadcast.
All right, short and sweet from Johnny Taylor coming home a very impressive first place finish. This is my first time watching you race, and man, you whooped the field, I would say. Looking forward to seeing whenever you return to your next race in the National Sim Racing Series, man.
Yeah, catch you later.
All right, and now we can go to the second place finisher, Mark Sakoshi, car number 8. Coming home in second, it's Mark Sakoshi in car number 8. A very strong second place finish for you. How you feeling about it?
Um, I don't know. Car was it was out of control all night. We're just trying to get it. I mean, it was like a push loose where you're sliding with the tires wear and the thing's building free. So, um, I guess pretty good. I still trying to take it in. It's just we were third place car at best after we got going. Like when we got out front, we could kind of hold guys up, air block them. It was a little quicker out front, but we're we're probably third place car, and then Tony having issues there at the end just allowed us to pick up another spot.
So yeah, earlier in the race, I saw you experimenting with the lines through the corner, running really close to the wall, and then cutting down on exit. Were you doing that to try to like mitigate the looseness that the car was having? Because it seems, according to your own testimony, it was out of control. So were you trying to? I'm not a race engineer by any means, but were you trying to more or less try to burn off that right front a little bit more by running higher up to try and tighten up the car artificially?
At points, yes. And then there's other points where it got so tight on the bottom. Like you get it's tight, but it's free. So it was just getting to be slower on the bottom. It would move up, but the top was, I mean, a lot of times when you move up to the top when you're loose, it's out of control. It's even more out of control. So yeah, we were just searching to see if we could maintain where we were at, and at points we did. Like I seen the four was kind of struggling behind us, and he started reeling us in, and then we moved to the top, and we started checking back out. So it wasn't moving us any further towards the front, but we were maintaining. So it was survival out there really tonight.
Well, either way, it's rewarded you with a second place finish. So before we let you go and ride the good momentum of the second place finish into next week, which is at St. Petersburg, do you have any people or sponsors you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, gotta thank everybody for showing up tonight. We had a few new guys in the field, which is good. Got to thank my teammate John Bittler, who sponsors the series with IRD Racing. Um, got to thank everybody out there watching us every week, family, friends. Got to thank you for putting on a great broadcast, and Lyle for doing race control for us every week.
Well, that's Mark Sakoshi, driver of the number 8, coming home a very strong second place. We look forward to seeing what you can do at St. Petersburg next week.
All right, man. We'll see you at St. Pete.
All right, and coming home in third is someone who I'm sure has a lot of things to say. Going to be Tony Kerchel in car number 13. Let's get him into the booth. Tony Kerchel coming home in third after a late race incident, and I'm sure that everyone watching wants to know your perspective on what happened between you and Colin English.
I just thought he was going to give me a little more room. I thought he was going to be more up against the wall than he was. So I was kind of just came up the track a little bit and he was there. So it is what it is. It didn't ruin my top 3 streak, so that's good.
Yeah, I said on the broadcast that if there was a time where I had to flip, it would be in such a way to where it didn't explode my car and to where everyone else was a lap down, so I didn't lose that much track position. And that's exactly what happened to you. You only lost 1 position despite losing your entire front clip. But before that, it just seems like no one had a match for Johnny Taylor. So at what point did you realize, man, I'm not going to catch that 48 car, because he was just gradually slipping farther and farther away into the distance with every lap?
I'd say I realized it after the second green flag pit stop. He just drove away from everyone. I was like, I don't got anything for him. But I also knew that I didn't think anyone else could really keep up with my car. So I was trying to keep it clean until that incident happened, of course. But what are you going to do? So it was a great race otherwise.
I'd say so as well. And I mean, third place, still a very good points haul, and especially considering the size of the field that we had, not anything to sneeze at. So before we let you go and ride the good momentum into St. Pete next week, do you have any people or sponsors you want to thank before we let you go?
Just gotta thank Mark for putting it on. All the guys that admin here and my teammate John.
All right. Well, that's Tony Kerchel, last season's champion, coming home a very strong third place in the third race of this season. We look forward to seeing what you can do on the streets of St. Pete next week.
It's going to be a great race. Can't wait to see you there next week.
All right. And with that out of the way, I can take this graphic off your screen. I can change the camera to our scenic cam, and I can conclude this broadcast of the National Sim Racing Dickies 500 here at Texas. We hope you enjoyed this broadcast, and big thank you to our series sponsor, IRD Racing, the king of carburetors. Big thank you to Andrew Schulte and SKS Graphics for their ticker help and the fancy little side-scrolling ticker that you see on the bottom of the screen. Always very thankful to have their help in broadcasting. Big thanks to David at Fireball Talks NASCAR for allowing me to broadcast on this channel, and big thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning in to this broadcast. Next week at the same time, we'll be going to the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida for a street race in the Gen 4 Cup Series. Looking forward to seeing every one of you there. My name is Garrett Hess. You're watching Fireball Talks NASCAR and the National Sim Racing